Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means that it's time to file. Instead of going through the hassle of walking into an H&R Block, you can call the experts at the Tax Defense Group. They can handle your tax filing anywhere. Also, for a limited time, if you're a W-2 employee, you can save half off your filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15th, 2020, and mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Writer Junkie. There are millions of good-paying jobs out there, and what might be holding you back from getting one of them is having an up-to-date, well-written resume. Writer Junkie offers a resume writing service for the low cost of $145, and with only a 3-day turnaround, you can't beat that price and delivery time. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios, and they'll get right to work. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of the Lakers Outsiders Weekly Podcast brought to you by UCAS Studios. I'm your host, Gary Kester, here with you as always, and I'm not by myself today. It'll be nice to have actual people to interact with during this time of isolation, but I will be doing this. We're doing this over a Skype session, so I apologize if any of the audio is kind of lower quality or anything like that, but I'm joined by two people today, and we've got kind of a special episode for you today, but I'm joined by Honi Ahmadian, kind of my usual guest. Honi, how are you holding up during all the quarantine season and everything that's going on?
As somebody who's used to being alone in life, I'm not handling it as well as you would think. To be honest.
Shouldn't laugh, but I am.
This is mostly a dig at Gary for us always planning podcasts and then not doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what we do. Good at planning stuff, but as you know, plans fall through, you know? Honey, if your walls start talking to you, just don't talk back. They feed off of that. Also,
voices in my head are keeping me company.
Oh my God. That's like that's a giant group of people. That's not social distancing. But anyways, also joining us is Kyle Hartwick. Kyle, it's been a little bit since we've had you on the pod, man. How you been?
Pretty good. It's been, I think, since the three of us were together, it's been almost a year. So it's good to have the game back together and get into it.
But who's keeping track, right?
Oh, we were looking at Skype, yeah.
Well, that's the
factual statement.
I feel like a terrible friend now. I mean, probably am, but still. All right, so I mentioned we had a special episode for you guys today. We've done this once before, but it was a long time ago. It was at least a couple years ago, and the Lakers have added a couple new really good players since then. So it'll be a little bit different this time. But what we're going to do today is an all-time Lakers fantasy draft. It's going to be a snake draft between the three of us. The draft order is going to go Honi, and then me, and then Kyle, because Honi pays voters. And Kyle and I don't because we are wholesome individuals. Honi is not.
I want to thank the people who overwhelmingly chose me as the winner of the first pick, choosing a very a diverse candidate, the only diverse candidate.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's going to be the draft order. Like I said, it will be a snake draft. Basically, here are the rules. A couple of rules. We're going to draft 6 players total, so basically a starting 5 and a 6th man. The 6th man does not have to be a player that was actually a 6th man. It can be anybody. The Lakers have a ton of great players to choose from, so we should all have 3 stacked teams. If Honi doesn't, even with the first pick, then he's banned from the podcast for the foreseeable future, at least. And you can go hang out with your non-paid voters.
I just want to remind everybody the last time we did this, we had Dylan on the podcast and he chose D'Angelo Russell, like pretty high up in the draft.
I think it was like 5th. It was stupid.
And then we never had him on the podcast after that. So
yeah, he just doesn't exist anymore. But yeah, so 6 players, snake draft. I mentioned the draft order earlier. I will, at the end of this, I'll on YouTube, I'll throw up a little graphic kind of showing the rosters. We're also going to draft the head coach, and the head coach can be picked at any time. So that kind of throws a little wrinkle in there. And the last rule to remember is the player that you drafted, you get the Laker version of that player. So if you draft Steve Nash or Karl Malone, Gary Payton, somebody like that, you don't get the prime version of those players. You get the Laker version of those players. So keep that in mind while we're doing this. Obviously, the Lakers still have a ton of great players to choose from. So we'll, like I said, all have stacked teams. But yeah, let's go ahead. Let's not waste any time. Let's dive into this. Honi, you're up with the first pick in this Lakers Outsiders all-time Laker fantasy draft.
Yeah, so I thought of 2 potential picks. One of them, I guess I can say because who cares? Nobody's going to pick before me. I thought of taking Magic just because Lakers history, obviously, a lot of great players, not a ton of great point guards. So I thought about taking Magic early just so that I would have one of the, or really the only great point guard. But I decided against it. I'm going to pick with the first overall pick, Kobe Bryant. He's just Mr. Laker, the greatest Laker of all time to me. And I'm getting him for his entire career. So at the end of the day, I think it kind of turned into a no-brainer for me.
I would have slapped you through my laptop if you'd have picked anybody besides Kobe with this pick.
Well, then I'm glad because I don't want my laptop screen broken.
It's not like I could lose any more votes, so. Well, Honi basically spoiled my pick, so I'm going to take Magic Johnson. I mean, there's a case, I think, for Magic as one of the greatest Laker of all time. I do agree with you, though, Honi, that Kobe is the greatest Laker. But I have the number 2 pick, so I'm going to go with, in my mind, the second greatest Laker of all time, Magic Johnson. And I get that point guard, even though I don't really care about positions that much. Yeah. I do get a point guard, so that's really nice. So I'll take Magic. Pretty easy pick here. So now we throw it to Kyle for 2 picks.
See, I knew you guys would pick Kobe and Magic 1-2. I thought it would have maybe gone Magic Kobe, but
wait. Either... I'm sorry to interrupt, Kyle. Honi said that Magic was like the only great point guard, but totally just disregarded Alex Caruso. So I'm a little upset.
Can you really label Alex Caruso as one position? I don't think so.
He can play all 5, so that classifies him as a great point guard.
Alex Caruso could also go into a finals game in his rookie year and play center and kick ass.
Admit your mistake, Honi.
You're all forgetting about Marcelo Huertas too, so just
I
recognize greatness.
Who do you think my 6th man is
when you see it? I think my 3rd pick was going to be an obvious one from the get-go. Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, he is one of the greatest big men to ever play the game of basketball. So incredibly dominant in his time, especially in his prime, which was entirely with the Lakers and included 3 titles. So that was a pretty easy choice. The 4th pick, there was one guy I wanted to pick, but he wouldn't go too well with Shaq. I think I'm going to get the only really other good point guard in Lakers history and go ahead and go with Jerry West at number 4.
Anthony Irwin is not going to be happy with you.
He's Ronnie Price number 3 just so he would be happy.
He's an old white dude, but his numbers speak for himself. He's the 3rd most leading scorer in Lakers history by points per game. He's tied with Shaq actually for number 2. So pretty good representation of scoring there, and I feel like that duo would be pretty good together. And considering he is, like I said, one of the only other guards that's really good for the Lakers, it's a pretty easy choice to make for number 4.
Nice. I'm gonna get the guy that I actually thought about taking number 2 overall, so I'm pretty thrilled with this. But I'm gonna take Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time. When you factor in his college career and his NBA career, just unbelievably. I mean, you look at his resume, and like, I think Kareem is maybe the most underrated, like, great player of all time. The fact that he's never like in the conversation of greatest basketball player ever is kind of mind-boggling to me, because to me he's the greatest college player ever, and even though somehow Michael Jordan won that ESPN poll the other day, which as a Carolina fan, I mean, I'm not complaining, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was unreal in college that they had to bend the rules to try and slow him down, and then I mean was unbelievable as an NBA player too. So I'll take I'm just going Showtime, I guess. I got Magic and I got Kareem. So all right, Honi, you got 2 picks.
I'm glad you reminded me about that poll, because it led to one of my favorite moments ever, which is Kareem, of all people, going on Twitter and in all caps writing LMAO. All right. I just needed everybody to share in that wealth with me. You mentioned Kareem being underrated in the GOAT discussion. I'm going with the guy who I think wins the GOAT discussion. I am picking LeBron James. LeBron James. Obviously, Lakers version of LeBron isn't the peak version, but as we saw this year before everything got shut down, still an incredible player and still incredible on both ends of the floor when he chooses to be. And listen, man, I just want to see Kobe and LeBron play together. That seems fun as hell.
Just in purple and gold, right?
In purple and gold, nothing else.
I mean, when they were together on Team USA, I don't think they ever lost a game. So,
yeah, I do believe you were right. All right, so then with the first pick of the 3rd round, I'm going to try to shore up my front court a little bit. And I'm going to go with the guy that Kobe won 2 of his titles with. I'm going to pick Pau Gasol as my 3rd pick.
Who doesn't love Pau, am I right?
Exactly, and you want a little bit of that chemistry between Kobe and Pau, and I got like one of the better passing front courts of all time right now already with LeBron and Pau.
Listen, I don't need you to hype up your own team, okay? I'm really debating if I just want to stick with the Showtime thing or if I want to mix it up and add a new Laker, but I think I'm gonna stick with the. I'm gonna stick with the. No, I'm just gonna go best players. I'm gonna get my best 5 and just say screw it. I thought about going with riding the Showtime thing, but I'm gonna go with Wilt Chamberlain. I mean, arguably one of the most dominant players ever. I don't know how him and Kareem would necessarily fit on the court in an era of spacing, but I mean, good luck battling those two around the basket.
By fit, I'm not sure if you mean like their basketball skills or literally how their wingspans would go across the length of the floor.
Sideline to sideline, just standing there with their arms out.
I was hoping you guys would forget about him and I would pick him up next time because it seemed like it was dropping a little bit.
Almost went with the third person of Showtime, but I can't pass over Wilt. So, all right, Kyle.
So, I'm gonna go ahead and do a new Laker at number 9, and do Anthony Davis. It's kind of hard to really judge his Lakers tenure 100%. He only played 55 games this year, but obviously Anthony Davis is a very good player, and he's right up here with all the greats, I think, all time, especially on the Lakers. Number 10, first pick of the 4th round, I'm gonna go way back and pick Elgin Baylor.
Nice.
He is actually the points per game leader in Lakers history. He played 40 minutes a game for the Lakers too, according to Basketball Reference. So, I mean, he's a workhorse, and I feel like he rounds out, like the first 4 picks of my team really well.
Yeah, I always like what people would say about Elgin Baylor, that he was Kobe Bryant before Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, yeah. He played in an era where like what he represented was really important to kids everywhere. So, he goes beyond basketball a little bit too.
Yeah. All right. Well, that means I'm going to get the guy that I thought about picking in the last round. So I like how this draft is going. I'm going to take big game James. James Worthy. I mean, I got the three main pieces of kind of the Showtime era, and I added Wilt Chamberlain to it. So I have zero complaints right now.
That's a rough one. It was so close. So close.
But yet so far.
So far. All right. I'm going to go with somebody who kind of bridges the eras. And I'm going to... I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to choose Byron Scott, the player.
Damn it. I wanted you to say the coach.
The player. Just because I want a little bit of spacing. He's, despite kind of playing in a little bit of an older era, he's one of the greatest shooters that the Lakers have ever had. I think he kind of rounds that out pretty well. And again, him and Kobe obviously had a great relationship. So I'm kind of banking on that a little bit as well.
All right, so we've made it through 4 rounds so far. On the other side of this break, from a message from our sponsors, I will recap the rosters, and we've got 2 picks left plus a head coach. So be sure to stay tuned after the break. And yeah, here's a word from our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by the Tax Defense Group. Tax season is here, and that means that it's time to file. Instead of going through the hassle of walking into an H&R Block, you can call the experts at the Tax Defense Group. They can handle your tax filing anywhere. Also, for a limited time, if you're a W-2 employee, you can save half off your filing. All you have to do is call the Tax Defense Group before April 15th, 2020, and mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios. Call the Tax Defense Group today at 800-850-7973. That number again is 800-850-7973, and you can visit them online at thetaxdefensegroup.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Writer Junkie. There are millions of good-paying jobs out there, and what might be holding you back from getting one of them is having an up-to-date, well-written resume. Writer Junkie offers a resume writing service for the low cost of $145, and with only a 3-day turnaround, you can't beat that price and delivery time. Call Writer Junkie today at 805-587-7966, and you can visit them online at writerjunkie.com. Mention that you saw this ad on UCAS Studios, and they'll get right to work. All right, so we are back, and I'm going to recap the rosters that we have so far. So far, each of us has 4 players. We are going to draft 2 more players and a head coach. Again, like I said at the start of the podcast, the head coach can be drafted at any time. So apparently we don't value coaching over talent so far. Probably a good thing, but you never know. So through 4 rounds, Honi is up. We're back on the number 1 pick, going to me and then to Kyle. Honi's team is Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Pau Gasol, and Byron Scott. My team is Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, and James Worthy. Kyle has Shaquille O'Neal, Jerry West, Anthony Davis, and Elgin Baylor. So keep that in mind as we're rounding out our rosters of 6 players plus the head coach here. So, Honi, go ahead and start us off with round number 5.
Yeah, I'm going a little out of left field, but it's just one of my most beloved players of all time, and I think he would really fit in this kind of like running and gunning team that I've built so far. I'm choosing Lamar Odom as my next pick.
I thought you were going to say Marcelo Huertas, but
soon. He's the head coach, actually. He's a player coach GM.
No. He hides behind the head coach. Oh, all right. So that's kind of who I was hoping I'd go with my pick. So I just have an all really big lineup. But all right, makes it like I don't want to continue to just build the Showtime team. I want to have some variety, I guess, from different eras. But Like, it's so hard to just say no because I already have two big guys. So, all right, what the hell? I'm gonna do it anyways. I'm gonna take Michael Cooper. So I've got basically the Showtime era plus Wilt Chamberlain. So I'm not complaining at all, but just how it's kind of shaken out a little bit. So yeah, I'll take Michael Cooper.
This is really weird. I mean, there've been so many great Lakers, obviously. I listed out 18 guys, and both of you have each picked one guy that I didn't list out. So it's kind of cool how like to see how we value all-time greats and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think for my pick, I need another guard. There's really only one other great guard in Lakers history. I mean, there's been a lot of them, but as far as like this upper echelon, I'm gonna take Gail Goodrich. Kind of underrated because he played so long ago, but he truly was a really good Laker. And I just have a lot of really old dudes on my team. It's kind of impressive, but apparently I like that nostalgia aspect a little bit more.
Half your team has to play in black and white.
When we drop this poll on Twitter, you're gonna do great with our 50-plus-year-old demographic that definitely follows us on Twitter.
I'm okay with that. Sure.
Oh. All right, so we've each got a starting five. We each need a sixth man and a head coach. So.
All right, Kyle.
It's me. I'm sorry. I've lost track. This is where things get a little tough. I might honestly defer. I'm gonna be the first person to pick a coach, I think, but I need to look at what coach I want to take. I'm gonna take Pat Riley. I think that's a bit of an interesting choice considering the options, but I think he was obviously a very good coach, and I kind of want to defer my last player, so that was a smart choice to make.
You're ruining my Showtime plus Wilt Chamberlain thing I got going on here. That's what I was gonna go with. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the head coach too, just because I don't know. I like my five, and I need a good coach, so I'm gonna go with the other obvious great Laker head coach, even though I don't know how much the triangle fits exactly with this roster. I mean, we got Magic, you want a run and gun team, but I trust the Zen Master to figure it out. So I'm going to take Phil Jackson as my head coach, and I'll leave that player slot open for the next pick. So, Honi, up to you.
I'm a little annoyed that Cal picked a coach not so early, but early, because I genuinely wanted Pat Riley for my team because I'm going run and gun. But I'll go. I mean, I'm picking back to back. I'll go with my player first. Off the bench, I want a point guard since I don't really have one. LeBron's going to be starting at point for me. But I will pick another lovable lefty back to back with Lamar. I'm going to pick Nick Van Exel as my last player. And then for my head coach, well, you know what? Just because I want to feel a return to normalcy after the season was cut short, I'm going to say screw it. We're picking Frank Vogel as our head coach. He's going to get the defense up on this team. He's going to have the chemistry already built with LeBron. And we're going to run and we're going to play defense. And you can't run without playing defense, kids. Don't forget.
Are you sure you don't want Byron Scott, player coach?
Player coach. Listen, if we need to fire Vogel in the middle of the season, then Byron is right there. I don't have to shell out money for another coach. I can just tell him to go sit on the bench.
Oh my goodness! All right, this gets a little tricky because I'm like torn between wanting like a player that's like super fun, but I want another guy that can shoot. And this guy made a living hitting big shots for a number of teams, won a lot of championships, but won 3 with the Lakers. So I'm going to take Big Shot Bob, Robert Horry, as my 6th man. I know there's probably some better players on the board, but given the construction of my roster, like I've already got my 2 centers for a player that I'm thinking of. Plus, I just want some more shooting, and Horry was like an OG stretch 4. Mm-hmm. So, plus, I mean, I think Phil Jackson loved him. So, I'm gonna take Robert Horry because you can always count on him to show up in the clutch.
Well, that ruins my last pick a little bit. Thanks,
You're
Gary.
welcome. You're welcome.
I was initially maybe thinking Dwight Howard. I'm not picking Dwight Howard. But like I just love him. You know, the current version of him that's a little more laid back. But I think there are better players available on the board. I'm going to go with Jamal Wilkes, kind of from that Showtime same era. So I think he was a pretty easy choice, and he rounds out my team.
I desperately wanted Gary to pick George Mikan with his last pick and just go Mikan, Wilt, Kareem.
That's the guy I was talking about. When I talked about having 2 centers, like I thought about it, but I was like, no, I've already got 2 dominant centers. So if I want to stretch the floor a little bit, all I gotta do is just sub in Robert Horry for one of them, and then bam, he plays the 4 for me, and Wilt can dominate inside, or Kareem can do it. Whatever.
I couldn't have that many ancient players on my team. He was on my big board though, but I already had so many old dudes.
That's kind of the thing with
you went with the young gun and Jamal Wilkes.
Okay, younger by about 30 years.
It's kind of the thing with doing a draft like this is that there were going to be really good players that didn't get picked.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if we did like 10 players, but we decided to do 5 plus a 6th man. So yeah, like we at least like the top 10 in Lakers scoring history, like points as a Laker. We at least picked all 10 of those guys. So
no.
Good job, team.
Oh wait. Points per game, it's different. Never mind.
Yeah, I was just looking at total points. But I mean, either way, like I said, there were going to be some really good players that get left off the board. So that's
nobody picked Carlos Boozer.
Why don't I invite him onto this podcast?
Oh, dude, I'd be so in. I would yell, "Hold that!" the entire time. I wouldn't even ask questions.
If we put it on Instagram, he'd probably like it. All right. Well, yeah. So here's a rundown of the rosters plus the head coach. So Honi has. So before we sign off, we're each going to vote for the best team that is not ours to see if there's a majority. We're also going to make the case for why our team is the best. So Honi's team is Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Pau Gasol, Byron Scott, Lamar Odom, Nick Van Exel, and Frank Vogel as his head coach. My team is Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, James Worthy, Michael Cooper, Robert Horry, and Phil Jackson as my head coach. And then Kyle has Shaquille O'Neal, Jerry West, Anthony Davis, Elgin Baylor, Gail Goodrich, Jamal Wilkes, and Pat Riley as his head coach. So, Honi, I'll throw it to you to vote between me and Kyle, or mine and Kyle's team, on who you think was the best one.
So, on one hand, Gary's got a proven track record because he basically just picked the Showtime Lakers, and they were pretty good as I've heard. On the other hand, the Kareem and Wilt thing is so funny to me that I don't know how that's ever gonna work. I really like Kyle's front court of AD and Shaq, and I think Baylor and West is really dope behind them. Pat Riley making those dudes run, like, especially like if it's a younger Shaq. I guess by the time he was on the Lakers, he wasn't really the run and gun Magic style. But I'm gonna vote for Kyle. That's what my heart says. I like the fit of that team a little bit more.
All right, well, you can be wrong. It's fine. All right, I'll try not to let that influence my vote, but
why did I have to go first?
All right, let's take a look here. We got the rosters in front of me, so I'm kind of going back and forth here. Man, this is a tough one. These are all really good teams, but I am gonna go with Honi's team. No, I changed my mind. I'm gonna go with Kyle's team. No, like you said, Honi, I like the fit of Kyle's team. I like AD with Shaq. I think that'd be really, really good. I mean, offensively, obviously amazing, but defensively would be really good too, especially if you get Shaq dialed in defensively. Baylor, I mean, could fill it up. Goodrich, Jerry West, obviously great. And then you got, Jamal Wilkes off the bench. Plus, you got a great head coach in Pat Riley. So that was kind of the tipping point for me, was the head coach. Nothing against Frank Vogel, but Pat Riley.
See, I made the right choice picking the first coach, I guess. I was a little skeptical about that. I'm going back and forth between your guys' teams, too. I think we all have, obviously, pretty great teams because these are all, some of our favorite players of all time. I like the pairing of Kobe and LeBron. I think that is, like, the dream Lakers duo for, like, us new age fans, where, like, if those two were able to play together on, in purple and gold, like, the amount of great memories we would have would be amazing. On the other hand, Gary pretty much has the Showtime Lakers. The Kareem and Wilt thing, that it is just amazing to me. Like, I want to see that more than a lot of different things. Ultimately, I decided that I would go with the person who had the most amount of players picked that were on my big board, which was Gary.
Yes.
He only had one player that he picked that wasn't on my initial list of players that I had, and Honi had two. No offense, Honi. Obviously, you have a great team.
I hope you take great offense to it, Honi.
If you had picked a little bit better in 3, 4, 5, 6, like you had it, because LeBron and Kobe is just that's too much to fight against. But I think Gary has just that little bit of an edge in the deeper positions on the team.
All I know is that I'm going to talk a lot of crap when I win the vote of the people once again.
Honi, I'm going to need you to turn over like your electronic devices, so you can't lobby or send out any Venmos or anything along those lines. Cash App.
That's not how this works.
You can cash out me if you want, but
I can have a super PAC if I want.
All right, real quick. Now we're going to go through. So Kyle won the vote. I almost voted for Honi just to make it interesting. So it was 1-1, but Kyle won majority before he even had to pick. So congrats to Kyle. He wins the vote for all three of us, which means nothing. But now we're going to throw it to you. We're going to throw it to the people. If you're listening to this on YouTube, leave a comment on which team you think is the best or which team you think is the worst, on why Honi's team is – why he drafted the way he did. I don't know. Just leave it in the YouTube comment. We're going to throw this up on social media as well, Twitter, all that fun stuff. So we'll quickly throw it to you. We're going to go around and make our case on why our team is the best. So, Honi, I'll let you go first.
All right. Well, thanks to the loveliness and just the beautiful minds and souls of the people, I had the first overall pick. So I went with Kobe. It's the greatest Laker of all time. That already sets me apart. I'm putting LeBron James, the Lakers version of him, at point guard. We just saw what he did at point guard all year this year, leading the league in assists. He's going to be passing the ball to Kobe. And we're going to run the floor. We got Byron Scott on the wings, shooting up threes. As much as he hated them as a coach, he loved them as a player. And we got our 2009-2010 title winning front court of Lamar and Pau. Lamar and Pau Gasol, just two kind of quicker big men who can also run the floor, who can pass as well as anybody. And then off the bench, we got Nick Van Exel to, spell LeBron and Kobe and be a ball handler. And we're being coached by Frank Vogel. He's going to make our team play a lot of defense, cause turnovers, and then run and gun, and really outrun Gary's Showtime team, I think. But
excuse me?
That's for the people to decide.
Yeah, people, you know what to vote on this one. So part of my argument is going to be trashing your guys' teams. Honi's team has Byron Scott on it, who is also going to be trying to be the head coach, because obviously there was head coaching desire. So
we have Jason Kidd on the team right now, and there's nothing going wrong. All I'm saying.
I'm just saying Byron Scott is going to be trying to get Frank Vogel fired and then take over as head coach. And if that happens, I mean, the wheels are really going to fall off. So he's going to tell LeBron to never touch the ball and just give it to Kobe, which, I mean, that's fine. But I'm just saying there's going to be a lot of turmoil with Honi's team. With Kyle's team, you've got players from so many different eras that you're going to have very big differences, and it's going to be impossible to build team chemistry because you're going to have Anthony Davis trying to explain to Gail Goodrich and Elgin Baylor and Jerry West what Instagram Live is and Twitter and, playing Fortnite and all that stuff. So you're just going to have problems there. Plus, you're going to have Shaq, who's a big goofball. We all love him, but I don't know. Somebody's going to have a problem with that. I don't know. Whatever helps benefit me here. And my team already has the team chemistry because you've got the Showtime era all together. Plus, you have the master of managing egos and Phil Jackson. So even if there is a problem, it'll be fine. I mean, I've got Magic. I've got, the greatest point guard ever. I got Kareem. I got Wilt, Worthy, Cooper, one of the greatest clutch players of all time, and Robert Horry. Like, what more do you want? I mean, that's a great team. Plus, there's no turmoil like the other two are going to have with the differences that I mentioned. So, Honi, don't look at me like that.
How do you think your Showtime players are going to handle going from playing with AC Green to playing with Wilt in a personal lifestyle choice standpoint?
All I'm saying is Magic and Wilt are probably going to throw some great parties. Okay, so it's going to build team chemistry. My team chemistry is going to be through the roof, off the charts. So before we even get out of line with that, Honi, Kyle, tell me why your team is the best.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious why my team's gonna be the best. They're not gonna win the polls because Honi's gonna post his nudes or something like that on Twitter and get his followers to vote for him. But
thank you.
Hey, first of all, if I did post my nudes, it would make them vote against me. So joke's on you.
Yeah, maybe with that attitude.
Nudes if I get invited to one of Wilton Magic's parties.
I feel like the benefit of my team is that I do have a bunch of different players from different eras, but they're all really, really good in their specific eras. So they're all good at doing these different things. You have Shaq, who's one of the most dominant post-up guys, or not post-up, but like dominant big men that's ever played the game of basketball. You have the Logo, who is able to do a little bit of everything in the backcourt. You have, Elgin Baylor, who, I mean, I think in 2K he's listed as one of a kind. Like, that's like what his little tag is underneath his name. And he truly is one of a kind. And I was able to get him as my third pick, which is, it's a testament to like how many great Lakers there were. Gail Goodrich, I mean, he played before the 3-point line existed, but I imagined he was a good shooter. Jamal Wilkes, he's fantastic for a 6-man. And who am I missing? Anthony Davis? Did I say Anthony Davis? I don't think I did. Anthony Davis, I mean, he would just dominate alongside Shaq. If Shaq's in a little bit of trouble, you can find AD, and AD can do a lot of the same things. And with the show being run by Pat Riley, I think it's hard to dispute that team.
See, when Anthony Davis demands a trade to my team because you made him feel forgotten, I'm going to be the one that's laughing in the end. So
give up Lonzo Ball. Do you have Lonzo Ball on your team?
I've thought about it, to be honest, but
no baby Lakers.
Hey, we went an entire podcast almost without mentioning D'Angelo Russell.
Almost. Till now.
Almost.
All right.
Made it almost 40 minutes. All right. Well, that's
this fellow named Anthony Brown. Sorry.
Good Lord. All right. So again, I'm gonna throw, if you're listening to this on YouTube or watching this, I guess, on YouTube, I'm gonna throw up a graphic showing our rosters plus our head coach. So again, leave us a comment on which team you think is the best, which team you think is the worst, or honestly, if you just don't care, whatever. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to throw this up on Twitter as well to vote in a poll. So choose wisely. Don't vote for Honi. I mean, I can live with finishing second to Kyle. If Honi wins again, I'm going to be very upset. But
no collusion.
All right, so that's going to do it for us this time. Thank you guys so much for listening. We are actually kind of brainstorming a series of fantasy drafts that we want to do, Lakers related, kind of, keeping up some content while the NBA hiatus is going on. Who knows if a season's going to happen again? We hope so. But until then, we're going to try and give you guys as much content as we can and try and be creative with it. So as always, you can also leave us some ideas. Leave them as a YouTube comment, or you can tweet them at us. Whatever you got to do, let us know. We're open to all suggestions, because it's gonna be a long haul without actual basketball being played, I think. So it's gonna be tough, but that's gonna wrap it up. So Kyle, Honi, thank you guys so much for joining me and being pretend all-time GMs here. I think we did at least a decent enough job to where we wouldn't get fired, but it's still early. So maybe in some of these other drafts that we're going to do, we'll get fired by somebody.
Oh, I'm gunning for it on the next one. I don't know what we're doing, but I'm gunning for it. I'm gunning for being fired.
We all know you'll get the number one pick, so congratulations. All right. That's going to do it for us. We're going to get out of here. So for Kyle and for Honi, I'm Gary Kester saying until next time. We'll see you
Shout
guys.
out Carlos Boozer.
Shout out Cedric Ceballos.